Hi, I'm Dr. Liane Davey, and what's my spot in the world? Helping people achieve amazing things together, specifically when that's really, really hard. So, all the messy people stuff. And I'm an author and a speaker and a dear longtime friend of the man who will now introduce himself. Shed, over to you.
Thank you. And Liane, I can't see chat, so you're gonna
Okay,
help
I'm
me
on the
be
chat.
eyes and yeah, you will be on chat.
Okay.
I'll see if I'll solve that, but I'm Shed and I cannot multitask as evidenced by the fact that I can't do these two things. Steven Shedletsky, friends call me Shed, so Liane calls me Shed, and you're all welcome to call me Shed. I help leaders suck less. That's one of the things I like to say. Because a lot of leaders, even despite their best intentions, have a negative impact on people. And I'm fascinated by all about how can our relationship with leader, whatever that means, in a work setting, in a societal setting, how can our relationship be one that is healthy, generative, thriving, and not toxic and deleterious? And
Not
I do that
suck.
through, yes, and not suck, because a lot of the times it sucks. And I
Yeah.
do that through speaking, books, podcasts, which we're going to talk about today. Um, and yeah, and I'm so wonderfully following in your footsteps, Liane, as I have for, gosh, like
How
since
long?
2008 is when we met.
2008. Okay.
So close to
All
20
right.
years.
So you want to tell them how we met?
Yeah. So I was at studying business at Ivy, and I was discovering what I really cared about, which was around workplace culture and leadership development and leadership solutions and all those fun things. And a friend of a friend introduced me to a friend of theirs named Ahalia Kathaswaran, and she was working at a little firm called Knightsbridge Leadership Solutions. And I met Ahalia, I met you, and I joined you for an incredible summer of internship, and met you and Audra August and so many amazing people that
So
I'm
many
still in touch
people.
with today.
Yeah.
And I felt it was appropriate that I should research the website a few weeks before I started. And one of the executives was Ralph Shedletsky. Now,
Yeah. With an S.
Shedletsky was not like Smith
No.
in Poland. It's not a popular name.
Yeah.
And so I called my dad, and he's like, "Yes, yes, we know him, not related, but lovely man."
With an
So
S, not a Z.
SKY, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was spelt
Yeah.
differently off of once we arrived here. So
And
that is how we met,
yeah,
and
what
I
I
just
remember is at the end of the summer, after a very fruitful relationship, you said, "Would you be willing to keep mentoring me?" And my response was, "Only if you agree to keep mentoring me." And so we put the word mentor and the word protege together, and we've been mentagés for almost 20 years, and it's
yes,
a very fruitful thing. So I'm thrilled. I love when I can pop in and celebrate with you, like we celebrated together the launch of Speak Up Culture, your amazing book.
thank
But
you.
now there's something new to celebrate. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm there. I'm all over it. Let's go." So a new podcast. Now, I am a podcast girly. I am a ridiculous podcast girly. I'm glad that Apple Podcast doesn't do like a Spotify Wrapped and say how many hours of my
Yet,
life I've used, because
yet
the
they
answer is
will.
a
Yeah.
lot. Um, but there are a lot of podcasts in the world, which of course leads me to the question of like, what was missing that you could fill? What made you want to do a leadership? Okay, so you can't see the comments. So Frank just put in the best comment. Like Shed says, no more hashtag leadership.
Yes. No more leadership, please. Too much of it
I
out
love
there.
it. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah.
Now we know the truth. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so in going after no more leadership, what was your thought?
I mean, glory, sponsorship, free stuff. Like that's
Wealth,
really
fame, riches.
pinnacle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, there's so many, just as there's so many books out there, there's so many podcasts out there as well. And so, I mean, you and I believe, are in the business of ideas transforming into action. I think that's the work that we're in. And we both care a lot about this fact that we have on average 90,000 hours that we work in our lives. Sometimes we spend more time with colleagues than we do with friends and family, and we want that to be a generative experience. And yet, for so many of us, it is not. So how do we do that? And how do we use things like tension and conflict as a productive thing? And so if you're in the business of ideas turning into action, it behooves you to put content and stuff out there.
Yeah.
Though there's a book that says I am an author, I do not enjoy writing.
Yeah.
I am extroverted.
Yeah.
I speak to
You're
think.
talky. You're talky, not
I'm
righty.
talky, yeah. And, much like, George Costanza when he was laid off thinking like, "What should I do?" And like, "I'm good at talking. Maybe I should be a talk show host." And being a talk show host and being in meaningful conversation is a huge passion of mine, and all for the sake of driving and creating more engagement and fulfillment in this world. And so this is a vehicle and this is a medium to do it. And in the first season, we get to unpack some of the juicy goods. Like we all use the words leadership, trust, team,
Oh,
culture. We know that they matter, but like, do we have a common understanding, definition, and even sets of healthy behaviors to make those things productive?
and
So
we're
that's
gonna
where
get
we're
into
going.
that because the first episode is already full of, do we have shared definitions? So I'm so sad because this person who is obviously there from the crew, but it's only just showing LinkedIn user.
Ah,
Who identify yourself. Who are you? Which
anonymous
awesome
LinkedIn
one of the
user.
people from, so tell us who you are. Okay, I love that. Um, I agree. I think, even that last point you made about how we've got all these words that we use all the time, but has anyone taken the time to get us aligned around what they mean, help us figure out what they look like in action? I don't think there's enough of that. So I'm really glad the podcast and the newsletter are here. But you're taking a little bit of a different take. This has been in the works for a long time because
Mhm.
you're really crafting this experience for your listeners. So tell us a little bit about what's different, what we can expect from shedding some light, because it's Kendra. Okay. Yay.
It's a
And
family
Kendra
reunion.
is also in the process of bringing a new book out into the world. And Jesse's here as well. Jesse, our publisher from Page Two. Kendra is also working with Page Two. So, oh my God, so many awesome people here to get some light shed upon them. So, what's
Mhm.
different about Shed Some Light?
Yeah, so I'm committed to doing a first season. Talk to me in the spring if we're doing another season. I'm not sure yet. But for season 1, it is far less guest heavy. In fact,
Yeah.
you're our only like official guest, which we'll talk about. Episode 6, April 7th. Watch out, people. Um, and we did like a
Episode 6, that's the good episode of Heated Rivalry too, just so you know.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I don't know that yet, but yeah. In fact, I had that like fun, awkward moment where I was sitting on the couch with my wife last week and she's like, "Do you want to watch Heated Rivalry?" And I'm like, "Okay." Oh, we don't have Crave. That's a shame. That's a shame. Anyway, I
Okay.
hear it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
His.
So back on topic as you and I
Sorry.
ADD out here.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is my co-host and I, David Nabinski. We really try to create clarity around this messy human thing called leadership and
Yeah.
healthy culture, workplace culture. And it is ideas, it is tools, it is practical.
Yeah.
And so in each episode, we're sort of taking an idea, defining it, providing tools with it. Oftentimes we have assessments and things that go along with it as well. So in the same way, I really admire the work of Francis Frey and Ann Morris and what they're doing with their podcast Fixable. And
Fixable.
Francis
Yeah.
has these amazing office hours,
Amazing.
like democratizing access to leadership development, amongst other things. And I'm
Yeah.
very much doing the same
Yeah. Yeah.
in my own words, in my own ways. And I don't come, you do, Francis and Ann do, but I don't come from an academic background.
Right.
Though I try to make everything that I do backed with evidence-based
Yeah.
research,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my sweet spot is taking terms, even like psychological safety, and be like, all right, what does this mean? Can we even use a different word? Right. That's why I call it a
Nobody
speak up
worse than
culture.
psychologists for naming things. Like, we're
Yes.
truly, truly terrible. Yeah.
Yes. You're
So,
very good at naming white papers, but not branding what should
yeah,
go inside the
once the
jar. Yeah.
title can have a colon, we're good. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if it needs to be more succinct than that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's talk about episode 1 a little bit, and then we'll take a bunch of questions. So episode 1, already a little spicy, my friend. Already a little and I don't know if you were thinking it was spicy, but you do the bold thing, which is you say, if we're going to talk about leadership, we better define it.
Mhm.
So you talk about leadership as an attempt to leave the people around us better. So an attempt,
Yes.
we don't have to necessarily get there, to leave the people around us better.
Yep.
So, okay. Okay, so tell us a little bit about why that definition meant to you, and what pushback have you heard? And would love in the comments, like when you hear that definition that leadership is an attempt to leave
Hmm.
the people around us better, how do you react? What do you think? Any response? So Shed, you go first, and then we'll get some questions.
Beautiful. So I very much leaned into Dr. Becky Kennedy's work. She has a book called Good Inside. And her whole theory is if we don't have a definition for what a job is, how are we to do that job well? And she does that brilliantly with parenting. And
Yeah,
I think we should do the same with leadership. So for
yeah,
me, a working definition is the attempt to leave the people and world around us better than when we found them. And
yeah,
that's every like micro as well as macro, our body of experience. Because let's face it, like you and I, dear friends, like it's every single micro interaction. Do we nail it? No, but our body of experience, our macro experiences. I trust Liane. I know she has my like. I follow you. You follow me. We're co-mentee protege thingiors, right?
Mentoges. Yeah,
Yes, mentages.
mentoges.
So for me, it's an acknowledgement that leadership is a set of behaviors. Leadership is an intention, but we
Okay.
cannot predict our impact all the time. That's the
Yeah.
attempt piece. And the
Right. Okay.
attempt is
Good.
I could do my very best
Yeah.
and it doesn't land or it's not what my people need. But
Yeah.
do I give up? No, I try to stand up. I might ask for help. I brush my shoulder off and I keep attempting. And it is
So
an infinite game.
what I love about this, so you introduced me to the folks at the Curious Mindset, an amazing, amazing leadership group based in the UK. And at the end of my event with them, they asked a question they asked to everybody, which is like, who's a leader that you admire or that sort of thing? And I was like, "Oh, blah, 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 blah." And I ended up saying Jed Bartlett, the president from the West Wing, like
Oh,
a fictional character,
yes.
um, because of exactly this point, because I felt if I was gonna name any real person, anyone, including me, could have been like, "Except they're not great at this, except this," or, "Oh, then there was that time." So I
Yep.
love that you've brought attempt in there, because next time I answer it, I'm gonna be like, "Well, I'm using Shed's definition." And by that, there's a whole bunch more people who I think the intention was good, the behaviors were reasonable. So I love that you've added attempt, and I can finally have somebody who's nonfiction, real, as my example of leaders to, to
Beautiful.
emulate. So,
Nice.
um, Kendra's. So thank you, Kendra, for signing this one. So, yeah, intention and direction, so important to your definition. I really, really love it. Jesse also, responding and resonating with that concept. And Jessie is a CEO and a leader who, in the 10, 11 years of running her company, sure has had lots of moments where it was like, we'll call that an attempt
Yeah.
because leadership is freaking hard.
Yeah.
So awesome. Okay.
I can before we go on,
Yeah,
I want to speak to the better piece. So,
no, I know. I was, that's where I was
oh,
going next. I'm,
okay.
I'm not getting,
Sorry, Leanne, you had a question. Go on.
okay, so that's the attempt, and I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, better,
Hmm.
because I see a lot of people following a small handful of people right now who I'm like, would we call that better? So
Yeah.
tell me the intention of having better in there. What counts as better? What doesn't?
So yeah. So attempt is we never arrive. We're always arriving. We're fallible. The better piece, I'm both like, huh, that's good, and I'm insanely uncomfortable with it. And I think that's
Yeah,
on purpose because I used to. I mean, I've been working in this world of leadership development for close to 20 years. You more, and I used to, and like even when I worked with Simon Sinek, I would put like quotes of like there are good leaders and there are bad leaders, and I'm like, who am I to judge? Like, I'm not holier than thou. I do not have the power vested in me by society to be like, well, they're good and they're bad. And so I purposely use the term better because leadership is subjective and leadership is a choice. The only true test of leadership is anyone following. If people are
yeah.
following, regardless of title, if people are
Somebody thinks
following,
it's better.
you're a leader for them, right? And
Yeah,
so better means that you look at someone's behavior, you look at their choices, you look at what they seem to be all about,
yeah,
and you go, yep, that's a version and vision of the future that is better, or at least less worse off than the one we live in
Less
today.
worser? Less
You
worser.
you less, yeah. And either it's security or comfort or prosperity or
Yeah.
fame or attaching to them because they represent a cause or belief. But you following them
Mhm.
makes you feel that you're moving toward a better future. And for me, it takes the objectivity out of it, and it explains that leadership is based on
I
subjective and
This is
perception.
now my new favorite quote. Shed is striving to take the objectivity out of it, but at least stop pretending that it's objective.
And in fact, I think we are experiencing so many of the divisive issues in our world because we think that our perception is the right perception. If
Yes.
people are following, they're a leader to them, and you can approach that with judgment or you can approach that with curiosity. And I want to make progress. I don't want to
Yeah.
create more division. And so if someone follows someone that I wouldn't, I think it still behooves asking questions like, well, for what reason are they following them?
Yeah.
And is there a part of me that can resonate or connect or respect or just simply see how that's right for them, even if it isn't right for me?
Yeah. Okay. And more of that, empathizing and understanding where someone's coming from. Oh, I need to remember I'm gonna pick a bone with you about empathizing, but let's not do that yet. It was
I
spicy. The
feel
whole
no,
episode was spicy.
yes.
Okay, so any questions? Anyone listening? Any questions about the definition? Anything you want to throw in to challenge that definition? Share your own. Please, please, please feel free. That's what we're here for. And Shed is definitely a lifelong learner, so he will get value from you challenging or providing your own
This
version.
this attempt.
This
Yeah.
we're all just attempting
We're
here.
all just
We're
trying to
all
attempt. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so then I'll give a minute for anybody to ask anything about the definition or throw anything there, and then we'll go to the other big section of the first episode, which is about the three fundamental. Did you call them skills or characteristics or behaviors?
We called them essential or requisite leadership attributes.
Requisite sounds more bougie.
Okay. Essential attributes
Oh, you don't
of
want to be
leadership.
bougie. Okay, I'm
I'm
just gonna let you be. Okay,
I do not identify as
as
bougie. Yeah.
those my pronouns are not bourgeois. Yeah. Okay. So they were decisiveness, compassion, and confidence. Decisiveness and confidence. I was literally on a plane with my earpods in, doing the like, yeah, yes, yeah. I was
You go,
so
boy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hoo, hoo, hoo.
I
It's
was
like,
right with
yeah,
you there.
yeah.
And
To the passenger in
compassion. I
3D,
was
please settle down. Please settle down. Yeah.
with the lady in 30D, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, And then compassion. So, okay, let's talk about the two where we're in, violent agreement first.
Yeah.
Decisiveness. Give me your 2 seconds. Suki says Shed is not bougie.
Thank you, Suki. She knows me
He's
well.
so authentic and the real thing, isn't he? Definitely. No bourgeois, neediness there. Okay. So, start with decisiveness.
Decisiveness. So, decisiveness is the ability to make a call in an effective and efficient way, sometimes with limited data. And
Yeah.
it's number one because decisions are tangible,
Yeah.
and we can choose. Yep, I want to follow them because of the decisions they make.
Have have you seen the GH Smart longitudinal study on decisiveness and leadership? Oh, okay, I
No.
gotta send it to you. So GH Smart, who does a lot of the executive selection for private equity, and they're very well connected IO psychologists, and they did this longitudinal study several years, and what predicted not only CEO success but the financial success of the firms that they led was decisiveness over almost everything else. And the multipliers were like 12 times the performance. But the interesting thing was, it wasn't that they had to make good decisions.
Mm,
It's that they had to make decisions, right?
yes.
So they would iterate. We worked at Amazon a lot, and what I love there is they talk about one-way doors and two-way doors. Like, if this
Hmm.
is a one-way door, okay, like, let's make sure we're making the right call. If it's a two-way door, let's go and we'll iterate.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's really good data to support why decisiveness is number one. So love that.
Nice. And yeah,
Oh,
it's iterate. It's oops, wrong call. I think when done well, there's a link between decisiveness and accountability as well.
Okay, let's just show you Frank's comment because I think it's really valuable, astute, right? The power of the pause, right?
Mm,
So, curiosity first, confirmation, validation, and then action. So, we've all run into the leaders that are ready, fire, aim. Like, no, 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 no. So, yeah, ready, aim, fire. A better way, Frank, a much better way. Okay, so decisiveness, confidence.
yeah.
So speak on confidence and why it's so valuable.
So confidence is the best version of confidence, not arrogance. That's just
Yeah.
loud insecurity.
Yeah.
Confidence is like there's no mistake. Every single leadership development program starts with module on self. You got to understand this instrument, what tunes and keys and tones and songs you should play, and what you have no business touching. And you should delegate and empower others, and when you can harmonize.
Yeah.
And so confidence is I'm self aware. I
Yep.
know my strengths. I know my deficiencies. I know where I need to grow. I know how and when I'm going to let my people down. I
Yeah.
have the confidence and vulnerability to share that with them. So
Yeah.
that's it. I think it is dangerous and impossible to follow an insecure leader.
Oh, it's so toxic, right? It's
Yeah.
it's so toxic. So self-awareness, so, obviously Dr. Tasha Urich's work very influential on that whole thing about self-awareness and a bit shocking on how few people actually are self-aware. Terrifying.
Yes. And
Yes.
another one of those attempt things, like
Yeah.
you never wake up on a Tuesday morning and you're like, "Bing, I am now self-aware." It's like,
Woo!
just
Yeah.
wait to the afternoon because it's gonna change on you, right? Yeah.
I just lost touch again. So what I loved in the first pod, if you have not listened to the first episode, get thee to the Spotify or wherever
To the
fine
apples.
podcasts are served.
Yes.
And listen, because you postulate that confidence is a necessary precondition of both vulnerability and humility. And that's going to surprise a lot of people, but talk about what that means to you, because I think it's very profound.
Well, I think it's the horse in front of the cart. Like to be vulnerable is literally to expose oneself. Not all vulnerability is strategic. My equation for vulnerability is vulnerability plus context equals
Yeah,
superpower.
yeah,
Humility is the ability to have an honest view of oneself.
yeah,
I think very linked with vulnerability. And so, in order to expose of one's strengths and limitations, the horse before that cart, I think, is confidence.
yeah, yeah. So, anybody wants to comment on that? I thought that was such an interesting thing, right? We often think, and I see so many leaders who falsely think that's a dichotomy, right? I can be confident or vulnerable. And
Yeah.
so much is lost in that. What I'm always pairing is I think that the superpower is pairing vulnerability with accountability. That's really powerful
Oh, that's
when
fun.
when I'm willing to be candid about what I don't know or whatever. But as a leader, if I'm just vulnerable, folks lose confidence. I'm going to stop following that person because they don't look very sure where they're going.
Hmm.
Um, but if there's vulnerability plus I own this, here's what I'm doing to figure it out, that sort of thing, then I find we get the benefit of both the confidence that comes from accountability and the connection that comes from vulnerability. That's a superpower as a leader. So yeah, I love
Yeah.
your stuff on okay, Naomi. Naomi just threw this in here. Naomi is one of my favorite people to follow on LinkedIn. I'm getting gold on a continual basis.
Yes.
Um,
Blobbert. We all love Blobbert.
yeah. So there's self-awareness and then there's radical self-awareness. Okay, Naomi, you got to say more. You got to put more in there for us because I'm sure you're right,
Tell us
but
more.
I don't know yet. I don't know that yet. So tell us more. We need to see more.
As you're
Oh,
as you're searching, let me just
yeah.
add one more piece
Yeah,
because
good. Go.
so I lean into and I did a lot of this work on what are the attributes of leadership with my dear friend Rich Davini, who's a
Yes.
retired US SEAL, wrote the book The Attributes. And so I think of a lot of these attributes as if again, there's a lot of sort of music and sound references here, but imagine a soundboard,
Yeah.
right? So a bunch of different knobs. But if it's like, okay, if you raise the confidence knob,
Yeah.
you're naturally going to also likely raise vulnerability. Or like if you put up vulnerability, you also need confidence. So we use these words as if they're linear.
Yeah.
They ain't linear.
Yeah.
They're all often interconnected. So vulnerability done well and
Yeah.
healthfully includes vulnerability, should include humility. When it's done well and effectively, should also include accountability, because sometimes you share and it has a negative impact or it lands in the wrong way. Own up to it, even if it's not the intention.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get to this compassion one, because
Okay.
if I look at who people are following in
Mm.
2026,
Yes.
um, I think the pendulum has swung to asshole. Like, I'm watching activist shareholders in organizations. I'm watching the people who are leading on YouTube, leading in governments. Yeah. Um, how do I reconcile that with the idea that compassion is an essential?
Yeah. So I think a couple things. So one is we made compassion and not empathy, which is like, how dare someone who claims to be, a practitioner of leadership development say that empathy isn't required? Well, I simply can't have empathy for all people at all times. Like, I've had a front row seat to my wife returning from 2 mat leaves, but I can't truly have a first-hand experience of empathy there. But
Yeah.
I can create compassion, which is far more cerebral. Compassion is I can behave in a way that makes you feel as though I understand how you feel, or I'm doing
Yeah.
that work, right? So a
I
couple
get
things.
that you do that.
Okay. Hey,
How are there so many people following people who are the antithesis of that right now? I think aggression and othering and nastiness, it's in fashion. People want to follow folks right now who are the opposite of compassionate.
well, so I think a couple things. So one, it discerns to go, are they following by choice or are they following because they feel they have to, a
Yeah.
perceived necessity? The other is we have to put a mirror up. And for some people, that's the compassionate experience that they want. They feel angry. They feel
Okay.
lost,
Okay,
right?
good. That
And
does feel compassionate to them.
yes, yes. And as well, remember that unfortunately, compassion can be faked and manipulated.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I can learn about my constituents. I can learn about what makes them tick. I can say the right things. I can
Yeah.
act compassionate even if I'm not.
Yeah.
That's why, again, decisiveness is number one, because decisiveness, if you actually make decisions that are platinum rule, that are treat
Yeah.
the people they wish in the way that they wish to be treated,
Yeah.
then you're using the data of compassion to make better decisions, to serve the people that you're supposed to serve.
Okay, let's make sure when my new book Thought Load comes out that we do another LinkedIn Live, because I define empathy differently from you. So
Mm,
when I listened to the pod, you were defining what I call sympathy, to feel with, to have the same emotional experience.
mm,
Um, which is an emotional resonance. So emotional contagion is sympathy. Empathy is a cognitive process where we can understand. So I would link empathy and compassion. We'll have to do this again, Shed. We'll have
cool.
to do this again because we'll have that
I'm
whole
in.
conversation.
Yeah, coming
Um,
out May. What's your
May
launch date?
19th at all fine booksellers. Pre-order now.
And some not
Help a
so
girl
fine
out.
as well. And some
Help a
not so
girl out.
fine as well. Yeah, May 19th, Thought Load. It's going to be
Thought load.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Last thoughts on
We
like
hope not to load on folks' thoughts, but yes, last
yes.
thought. Yeah.
Um, like what would you say to these fine folks who are exactly the kind of people who care deeply about leadership and how they lead and how they help and support and coach other people to lead well? One last pitch for shedding some light. Uh, how do you want to end?
Well, thank you for joining us for a half hour of your Tuesday, wherever this we might find you. And you know, we are fallible human beings. The work of leadership, the work of being human, is not about perfection. That is a game that we will not perform well in. It is a game of progress, and all we can do is attempt to leave the people and world around us better. And sometimes we nail it, and sometimes we don't. And if we don't, we can learn from it. We cannot control how others receive us. All we can do is focus on what is in our control. And I hope that if we use the tools that we discussed in episode 1 and the 7 more episodes to come this season, my hope is that people leave the other end better and more equipped to lead better.
Yeah, absolutely. A great parting thought from Casey, somebody who's doing a lot of the heavy lifting in trying to create the kind of leadership that the world needs. So I'm thrilled that you said yes to this, and that we had so many absolutely phenomenal people join us. Just favorite thinkers and people who care and act in a way to make leadership better for all of us. So thank you so much. Check out the pod. Episode 2 drops today?
Tuesday on Feb 10th.
Feb 10th. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Thank you.
thanks again. We'll see you all soon.
Thanks for having me, Liane. Thanks all.
Bye.